No, don't listen to me anymore. Really, I was so I was absolutely convinced that that was going to be the last shows in the UK for me. And then I got home and I said, "Really? Do you really want to never go back to the UK?" And I kept thinking about it. And Gary, my manager, said, I could probably put together a small tour.
So firstly, just wanted to talk about your brand new song. Obviously, Once Before I Go, a beautiful song. And for those who might not know much about the song's history, could you tell us a little bit about it and why you wanted to record it?
Yeah, sure. It was written by Peter Allen and Dean Pitchford, uh, and Peter played it for me. We lost Peter years ago, but when I was living in New York, Peter played it for me, and oh boy, I loved it then. But I was too young to be able to sing a song like that truthfully because it needs somebody that's had some years on them, and I certainly fit the bill on that one. So when it came around again, my darling friend Clive Davis called me and said, "Have you ever heard of a song called Once Before I Go?" And I said, "Yes." Peter played it for me. He said, "You should record that song," and I did, and that's how it all started.
It was meant to be. And I suppose to team up with Babyface on the record as well is pretty special. That must have been amazing.
Yeah, well, when Clive and I did what we usually did, what we used to do in 1976 or something. We batted ideas for the song back and forth and back and forth, and we got to a really great rendition of it. And then I had to go on the road, and so we asked Babyface to help us, and he gave us a beautiful sounding record.
And was it a song you've been performing on stage for a while now?
I haven't really done it. I've done it a few times just to test it out,
Yeah.
and it goes over very well. So now that we've got an actual record, I'll be doing it during every show now.
Fantastic. And so, well, we're very excited as well that you're coming back to the UK for the last concerts next year and concluding with that massive show at the O2 as well. What made you to decide to change your mind about those Palladium shows being your final gigs in the UK?
You know, don't listen to me anymore. Really, I was so I was absolutely convinced that that was going to be the last shows in the UK for me. And then I got home and I said, "Really? Do you really want to never go back to the UK?" And I kept thinking about it. And Gary, my manager, said, I could probably put together a small tour of the UK, and that would be the last one instead of it being in one place like the Palladium, which was fantastic. But the last, that was only one gig. But what I did like was saying goodbye to all of these places that I've loved so much. So that's why I'm coming back just to say goodbye to all
Mm.
great those great areas that I've loved so much.
And on Gold in particular, our listeners love you, and whenever we post about you online, it always gets a massive response. So British audiences, I think, have always been so devoted to you. Do you remember your first trip to the UK and how fans reacted at the time?
Well, I was just talking to my friend Mark. I don't remember the first. I think it was in some arena, but I can't remember. But I was shocked because whatever it was, we were sold out, and I couldn't believe it. I'd never been to the UK. I didn't have any relatives there. I didn't have any friends there, and we were sold out. And that's what I remember. That when we got to the UK, it was already a big deal that I was coming there, and it was a big shock to me.
And is there any like memories of particular shows in the UK over the years that like or venues where you go, that was a really special show, that one?
But every time I go there, it's just another big party. It started back in the '70s when Copa Cabana came out, and it stayed like that. It's just a big party night after night. These people have been for the UK people have been uh, in my corner for all these years, and they're still there for me. I couldn't be more grateful.
And just looking back at some of your biggest hits that we and the songs we love playing on Gold, and Mandy in particular, when you recorded that, did you have any idea that it would say maybe change your life so dramatically? Did you ever think it was going to be so big?
No, I didn't. Well, the story about that is Clive had just signed me to Arista Records, and he showed me. He called me and said, "I think I found something that you might sound good," because I had made my second album, but he said he doesn't hear a single on it, and so he sent me uh, a song called Brandy, um, and it was a kind of a rock and roll song, and it was sung by a guy with a hoarse voice, and I said to myself, Clive hears me singing this song. It was like, oh, Brandy, well, you came and you gave without like that. So I thought, well, it's Clive Davis. So I went into the studio and I recorded it just like that. I made my voice hoarse and I did my version of "Oh Brandy," and so it was terrible. I got to tell you, it was terrible. And when Clive came in, I played it for him, and he said, "God, that's terrible." I said, "I know it's terrible, but that's what you just sent me." He said, well, "I didn't." So I said, "Wait, let me just play for you what I played by myself when I was learning the song, because I had played it slowly, and I found the love song in Mandy, well, not Brandy, and I played it for him, and he stood there and he said, just do that, just do that." And he went back into the recording booth and I did that. I did my new version of Brandy, only we named it Mandy. And that I did one take, just piano and vocal, and that is the song. After that, we added drums and bass and strings and all, but it's basically just one take, this vocal and my piano. And no, I did not think it would be any kind of hit record because it didn't sound like anything else on the radio at the time. But now and again, you get lucky.
And I suppose not only was obviously the arrangement huge difference, but I suppose just you wouldn't have thought changing the name that slightly would does make all the difference, doesn't it?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really what I love doing. I'm an arranger, and I love taking a song and finding different facets of that song and making it a different song. I never touch the songwriter's work, but I can play around with the arrangement of it, and that's what I did with Brandy Mandy.
Well, earlier this year, we lost one of our all-time greatest songwriters and producers, and someone I know you admired in Brian Wilson. And I just wondered, like, how important was he to not only to you as an inspiration, but to like music in general?
Um, there was nobody like him. There was nobody like him. You listen to the stuff that he did as a musician, it just makes me slap with my forehead because it was so inventive, and he really wasn't a musician. He would hum the string lines to violins. He would hum the bass line to the bass, and that's how he made his records. And when you listen to them, they are so inventive. The tempos change, the chord changes are surprising. This was a real genius.
Yeah. And you mentioned Copa Cabana earlier as well, and that's as you say, has taken on a life of its own. I just wondered, has there been like the strangest or funniest place you've ever heard that being played, and you've happened to have been there?
In the dentist office. Yeah, I guess I did hear Copa Cabana at my dentist office. When Bruce and I wrote Copa Cabana, it was just going to be the novelty cut on my album because I thought at that point every album had a novelty cut. Either it was a jazz piece or a classical piece. And Could It Be Magic was, Copacabana was the novelty cut on that album. and it just took off by itself. Some DJs started playing it, and they kept getting requests for it over and over. And it started to climb up the charts without any help from the record company. It just kept climbing up the charts. And it became a hit on its own. And we were all very surprised. It was it was ridiculous because I never considered myself a performer or even a singer. I was going to be a musician, absolutely, an arranger, absolutely, songwriter, any of those. But as a singer on a stage, I couldn't be more uncomfortable. I couldn't have been more uncomfortable, and yet the audiences liked it. They even liked this awkward kid on the stage right from the very beginning. And I was terrible. Really, I was just terrible. But they didn't think so. They kept saying to me in their own way, keep going. We like what we're hearing. We like what we're seeing. So it's all about the audience for me. They gave me a career.
After this new song, are there any more plans for a new album? Any more new music on the horizon?
Yes, we got a whole album ready to go, and I think I'm being told that it should come out in March.
Yeah.
So we put a little song first once
Mm.
before I go, and then the next time you'll hear of me is when the album comes out. I think it's around February or March.
Fantastic. Well, that is all my questions, Barry. Thanks so much for your time today. It was a pleasure talking to you for Gold Radio, and yeah, massive good luck with the shows next year, and we really look forward to seeing you there. So thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Gold Radio. All-time classic.